sort of see sometimes a more myopic or parochial vision of how we create systems change in the long term, right? So for me, that's really my target. The way I've sort of been trained or experienced as a program officer when I was more deeply involved in grant making is being an advocate and a translator at the same time. A good example of that is really the design phase. To Wendo's point, we may not relate to the term gender equity in the same way across the world, right? A good example of this is a partner we're working with in Indonesia, where we're looking for these terms in their, RFPs and in their proposals, and we're like, what the heck? What are they talking about, right? And the reality is, they use language like, and I'm thinking of a particular partner, they talk about harmony in the house, in the home. And then when you break that down and you ask those questions, you realize you are talking about gender equity. They're just not using Western colonial, history and language tied to that, right? So that's an example of the way I relate to this. It's like engage with funders, but translate that language, and make sure that that activity is what really matters. And those visions, those long-term visions is what's most important.
Call to action is, if you don't understand what flexibility is all about, visit organizations, come to the ground, talk to us. We will show you what flexibility really means. Look at our books, see the transparency, mentor. Don't be afraid to invest in grassroots organization, because we are not just the future, we are here now. Thank you.
So from my side, I think it would be also an invitation, an overall invitation to exploring what is unexplored, to, mainly rethinking doing things differently. And I think we've had amazing examples here that show that doing things different is feasible. The pandemic obliged many actors to doing things differently. It obliged grant makers to speed up their processes. It obliged organizations to deploy faster, and weirdly enough, we're seeing that we're all coming back to normal, whatever that normal was before, and we didn't stick to those great changes of flexibility and innovation that were shown during the pandemic. And so the invitation is, things can be different, and the additional effort is worthwhile.
It's going to sound silly, and the advice is to essentially never turn down a first conversation with anyone who reaches out and wants to talk to you, because you'll never know, you never know essentially who you will meet that will help you either think in ways or develop new sort of practices that can sort of shape the culture and the operations or the practice of your organization to provide more flexible types of support that really do center those who are trying to grapple with those challenges in the positions of power and decision making that we are talking about today.
I think for me, one of the themes that's really resonating here is, to be a little bit dramatic, all of our humanity, whether you're a founder or a community or an organization or a donor, we are all, working to solve these challenges together. And I think part of what came up here was really listening to each other, and as Wendo said, mentorship, really sort of accompanying each other on our individual journeys that we're on wherever we sit. And again, I'll circle back to my call to action in the beginning, to remember that we each have power as individuals. We each have power, no matter where we sit in whatever ecosystem we are part of.